Hey, hi everyone. Welcome to this demo on data engineering and happy Republic Day to everyone.
Lakshmi, can you brief about yourself? Lakshmi, can you hear us? I think
We can start with Tarun or Nanda, whoever is available.
Nanda, can you brief about yourself?
I think they are unable to speak. Maybe they are outside, Ganesh.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, I'm here. This is Kishore. Hi.
Yeah, Kishore, can you brief about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I've been working for the last 14 years on Oracle CRM. So the reason why I was trying to change technology, so learn something that is trending, and then learn something to move in a career shift. So that's one of the reasons why I was talking to Tarun, and then he suggested that data engineer is something I should look into. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm expecting from this session.
Thank you, Kishore. Thank you for your introduction. Okay, Ganesha, let's start. Okay.
You can start. Like others, they'll be joining in between. You can start.
Yeah. So yeah, let's start with basic introduction on data engineering. So let's start with basic concepts like cloud. So what is cloud? So this cloud is nothing but so it's like delivery of computing services over the internet. So it means like so let's say you take an example of Netflix, right? So they are selling the movies, right? Over this subscription. So they are selling the content, right? The same way, the cloud is nothing but it is they are delivering some services through internet. So uh, so these services are categorized into uh, four types. One is storage, second is compute power, third is networking, and fourth is analytics. So what is the storage? So how can we store the data? So we can store the data in the two formats. Okay, one is in the database, and one another is through file. Okay, so there is a file system and there is a file database. So Azure provides the cloud. Basically, this cloud provides these services where we can store the files in any file system. Okay, or we can store the data in the tables. So these are all the two ways mm, where we can store the data. So second thing is compute power. Okay, so we have a huge amount of data. How to access it? Means how to process the data. So that is the next challenge, right? So in order to process the data, we need VMs, right? So virtual machines. So so these compute power, they are it is provided by cloud. Okay, and third is networking. So what is networking? So networking, so we can give one example like virtual networks. Okay, suppose if you are building an application and you need separate network for that application. Okay, so how do you do that? We can create virtual network in the cloud, and we can give the IP address range for that cloud for that network, and only applications which have this IP address whitelisted, right? They can access that virtual network. Okay, so that is how they are providing. The cloud is providing networking services. And the fourth is the most important one for the data engineering, that is analytics. So we have a huge amount of data getting stored by applications, right? So applications like Google, YouTube, all these creates and applications like net banking. So these provides huge amount of data. Okay, so these are OLTP applications. So if we don't analyze the data, so we cannot create a business value. So hence analytics is very important thing to provide a business value. So the cloud services are categorized into four types, and we understood them with examples. Okay, and what are those providers, cloud providers that we have currently in the market? First is Azure, second GCP, Google Cloud Platform, and third is Amazon Web Services. Okay, so as this is mainly focused on Azure Cloud, so we will start with key components of a cloud. Okay, so what are the key components we have? One is scalability. So what is scalability? So let's say you are processing one job. Okay, so you are processing some data, and you need 10 machines. Okay, so for example, let's say your job is processed by 5 systems. Okay, so and it is not sufficient. That data is huge. Okay, so you need more machines to process that job. How do you do that? So we can scale that job. We can scale your resources. So how to scale it? We can allocate resources. Okay, so that is scalability. Okay, so yeah. And the second is elasticity. Okay, so we can also automate this. Okay, these allocating and delocating resources, we can uh, allocate and delocate with the help of some automation. Okay, for example, we have data bricks in the Azure, so which will automatically scale. So there is so auto scaling option is provided in Databricks, so that whenever you are running a job, if you need more resources, okay, if you need more machines to run the job, it will automatically scale. Okay, so that is elasticity. And the third is agility. Okay, so yeah, this allocation and delocation, it should happen very quickly. Okay, so let's say auto scaling, it took 1 hour or 2 hours to auto scale. Okay, to increase the amount of resources, that will be a wastage of time, right? So hence it has to have this component called agility, which will allocate and delocate resources very quickly. Okay, the fourth is fault tolerance. So always we should maintain uptime. Okay, whenever so any application fails or something. Okay, and fifth is disaster recovery. So always your data, right, it should have a backup. Okay, so in Azure cloud, so you have a backup system. Okay, so for example, if you enable disaster recovery or geo replication, so whatever data you store in this region, it will be replicated in another region. Okay, so whenever this server in your region fails, there is a backup created in other region, so that you can access the data from there. Okay, and high availability. So always the system should be available. Okay, so when you have created any application as Azure, it should be always available to the end user. Okay, so any doubts up to this point? Anything that you didn't understand? Okay, uh, let's move on to next slide. Okay, yeah. So what are the capital and operating expenses? This is a very important terminology in the cloud. Okay, so capital expenditure is like, so so you, whatever amount that you spend on the physical infrastructure, so it is like upfront cost. Okay, so whatever resources that you are using for 1 year, right? So it will be billed for at a time. Okay. So let's say you have a Amazon or Netflix. So Amazon, right? So it takes 999 rupees for per month, right? So upfront, that is called upfront cost. Okay, for 12 months it is taking this much amount. Okay, so that is upfront cost. So it will be the you are so you will be billed for the particular service. For example, let's say you have subscribed to any storage service. Okay, so for that storage service, it will bill you for 1 year. Okay, so that cost will be deducted whenever the subscription is started. Okay, so operational expenditure is like pay as you go. Okay, so whatever amount so let's say you have used 100 uh, 100 units of compute power. Okay, so for that 100 units of compute power, how much you have consumed, based on that you will be charged. Okay, so this is simple. Capital expenditure is like just like a upfront cost, and operational expenditure is just like the pay as you go. Okay. Yes. So if we discuss about the advantages and disadvantages, as you can see, so you have a lower computer cost, improved performance. Okay. So you don't have to maintain, okay, systems at your end. Okay. That is the main concept of cloud. You don't have to maintain the systems. So let's say before cloud, right? You have to build your own server and you have to maintain it. You have to upgrade the patches. Okay, you need to install OS. So these things, these admins will have to take care. Okay, so you need to maintain a server location. Okay, so all these things you have to do. But so after the advent of cloud, you don't have to do anything. You just have to create a subscription. So based on the subscription, you have to consume the resources. You have to purchase some resources. Based on the resources usage, you will be billed. Okay, so that is the main advantage of cloud. Okay, you can access any document. There is a data availability. There is a storage capacities there. You can opt for unlimited storage capacity, and software updates you can do. Okay, so they will do as part of from your side. You don't have to do the software updates. Okay, cost also very less. So software costs, you don't have to install software. You don't have to purchase licenses. Okay, so these things the cloud will do from your end. And what are the disadvantages of the cloud? So it can be slow. Okay, so and stored data, it is not secure. Why it is not secure? So whatever service that you use, it will go to the Azure first, then from Azure it will go to the client. Okay, so it requires a constant internet connection. Without internet connection, it won't work. You cannot see the applications. You cannot consume the applications. Okay, so that is the only drawback that we have in the cloud. Okay, so please feel free to raise questions. Okay, you guys are unable to understand. Okay, so as I have said, so this is important thing when you are so trying to start a cloud journey, right? So you have to understand these cloud service models. Okay, so we have on premises. Okay, on premises we have IaaS, which is called infrastructure as a service. Okay, and we have platform as a service. Okay, and we have SaaS, software as a service. So what is on premises? On premise is just like a private cloud. You have to maintain everything, as I have already said. You have to maintain your software, virtual machines, operating systems, applications, everything you have to create. Okay, so with the so these are all the, so and the left of this line you can see this is the on premises. So this is not a cloud. Okay, you have to maintain the own private cloud. So if you opt for public cloud models like Azure, AWS or thing, you have to be familiar with this kind of terminology. We have three service models. So first is IaaS, infrastructure as a service. Okay, so infrastructure as a service, it means like they provide compute, networking, and storage. So these things it will provide, and you need to, okay, you need to maintain a virtual machines. Okay, virtual machines you have to give, operating system you have to give, applications that you have to create on the top of this networking. Just like so you can, in a simple terms, right, you have applications, okay, in your system, but you don't have compute power. You just uh, request IaaS, right, IaaS service model to get compute, networking and storage. Okay, so let's say that you have an application, okay, and you need 100 machines to compute the data. Okay, you just request this IaaS model, service model. Okay, uh, so it will give those 10 systems to process the data. So that is a simple example. Okay, next is PaaS service. Okay, platform as a service. So as a service, it means like um, you have the applications, okay, here, but you don't have, you need a virtual machine also, you need operating system, all those things. Okay, so in this platform as a service, you just have to, you have applications, okay, and you require, let's say you are processing any job. Okay, so if you are processing any job, so applications requires, so applications is running, processing 100 GB of data. Okay, let's say. Okay, now uh, it requires some compute power, and also it requires some operating system also, runtime environment it need. So for example, Linux, Windows. Okay, so if you want to consume all this environment plus compute, then it is called as a platform as a service. And software as a service, it is simple. So you just have data. Okay, so you have applications, you have operating system, networking, everything the cloud will provide. You just have to enter the data into that, and you have to access. That is a software as a service. Okay, so everything, the software, it will bundle it, and the cloud will provide you the applications. You just have to open the application, and you have to enter the data, and you have to access the data. Okay, so yeah, that is Microsoft Word, right? This is a SaaS application. So that is an example. Okay, so let's come to the data engineering, the important part. Okay, so we have understood what is cloud. Okay, basic understanding of cloud. Okay, now we are and we want to understand about data engineering. So what is a data engineering? Okay, so so data engineers are the professionals who build pipelines to transform the data into formats that are readable and usable for data scientists, business users and users. Okay, so we have to convert the data in such a way it is useful for analysis. Okay, so what is a pipeline? Okay, so pipeline is nothing but it will connect different tasks. Okay, so what are the tasks we have as in the data engineering? So we extract the data, we transform the data, and we publish the data. Okay, so these things we will do as part of a data engineering. Okay, and who are all the consumers of these pipelines? So data scientists, business users and users, they are the end users for us. Okay, so we need to create a pipelines which will perform all the data cleaning, data extraction, data transformation and publish. Okay, all these things we have to do. We have to create a pipelines. Okay, so as you can see, so what are all the main stages, okay, in the data engineering? So first is we require a big data. Okay, so whenever so you want to enter into the field of data engineering, you should have some basic understanding of big data. Okay, so what is a big data? So big data is like so these tools, right, it handles huge amount of data. So there are some principles in big data with which it computes huge amount of data. So those principles you have to understand before uh, we start the data engineering journey. Okay, the second is ingestion. Okay, so what is ingestion? Collecting the data from different sources. Next is processing. So what is a processing? So processing data is nothing but transformation of data from one format to another format, and or one stage to another stage. Okay, so next is storage. So after processing, we are just storing that in data into the data warehousing solution. Okay, so whenever we store the data, we analyze the data. Okay, So after analysis, it is published to the access zone so that the users, business users, they can be able to access the data. So these are all the main things in data engineering. So as you can see here, uh, so we for traditional tools, right? Oracle or Teradata or SQL Server. So we have SSIS tools or Teradata, all those tools, right? ETL tools. We what we do in the traditional methods. So we will extract the data, we will transform the data, and we will load the data. So that is a so how we extract the data. So we collect the data from different sources with the help of ETL tools. We will transform the data and we will load it into the EDW. EDW is Enterprise Data Warehouse. So warehouse is nothing but where we collect the data from the different sources. Okay, so where we can access the historical data. Okay, so that is a data warehouse, and so this data warehouse, it is connected to BI tools for analysis. Okay, so this is a traditional way of doing. So but it cannot handle the main disadvantage of ETL tools like Teradata, these things, right? So with we cannot process huge amounts of data. There is a data limit. Okay, we cannot, it is not scalable. Okay, um, so hence nowadays we have moved to the Azure cloud, where so cloud data warehousing solutions, where we collect the data from different sources. It might be the real time, it might be batch data, any kind of source we can connect with. Cloud can connect with any source. Okay, it will ingest the data first and it will load it into the data lake. Okay, so data lake is nothing but where it is a file storage system where we can store different types of data at one place. Okay, it is just a file system. And what we do after loading, so we will transform and load. So we will transform the data in the required format. For example, let's say data scientist required the format in a specific way. So we will transform the data. The users require the data into different way. We will transform the data based on the rules, business rules. We will transform and we'll load it. Okay, and these data, it is consumed by dashboards, apps. Okay, data marts, BI tools. Okay, so you, as you can see here, right? Um, so there are different types of sources in the Azure solutions. Okay, we have log. We can read the log data. We can read the media data, we can read files, we can read the data from applications. So all this, it has a support. Okay, Azure cloud has a support. So what is the ingestion solution? Azure Data Factory. So what is the storage solution? As I've already said, so data lake. Okay, once we load this is extraction, this is load. Okay, and again what we are doing, so we are storing the data, right? We are transforming and loading the data into data warehouse. Okay, so once we store the data into the warehouse, so it is consumed by Power BI, okay, to understand, to do the analysis on the data. Okay, so these applications, right? Once we start the course, you will understand each and every component. So why we are using. Okay, so this is a storage solution. This is the ingestion ETL solution. This is a data warehousing solution. Okay, this is a visualization tool. So every tool has, every service has something benefit added to it. Okay, yeah, so let's come to the basic data engineering skills. Okay, so for data engineering, so I will be covering basics of SQL. Okay, so which is a very much needed. Okay, and Python. Okay, so Python is very so I will cover the basics on Python. Okay, then ETL. So you should have a basic understanding of data warehouse. So I will be covering data warehouse and concepts. Okay, then cloud. Okay, I will start with Azure basic tools like so it is primarily focused on Azure Data Factory and Databricks. Okay, these two tools I will cover each and every concept. Okay, so as you can see, this part, Azure Data Factory, is very important, which is a ETL tool which we have to learn as part of Azure Cloud, and Databricks is a compute processing solution. Okay, So you have to understand each and every bit of this tools, okay, which is mostly uses solutions in the Azure, okay, and you should have the basic understanding of data lake and data warehouse, okay. And as I've already said, you should have the basic understanding of SQL, ETL, and Python, okay. As you can see here, we have two types of storages, okay. One is relational and non-relational. What is relational? So if the data is stored in the form of rows and columns, it is called as relational database. So if the data doesn't have the schema, or if the data is stored in the form of files, okay, then it is called the non-relational. So blob storage is a file storage system. ADLS is file storage system. Cosmos DB is NoSQL system. Okay. So NoSQL systems means it doesn't have the schema. Okay. And relational, if you can see, you should have understanding of SQL DB. Azure Synapse I will be covering as part of this course. Okay. I will cover the basics of Azure Synapse. And processing, as you can see, you have each and everyone has to learn Azure Databricks and Data Factory. Okay. And this is a DP203. Okay. Every data engineer. So it is, I would suggest to clear this DP203. Okay, which is certification for data engineering. So in this DP203, these are all the skills that are measured. Okay, so which is data storage 40 to 45%, and processing is 25 to 30, security 10 to 25, and optimize is 10 to 15%. Okay, so these are all the skills which are covered in for this certification. Okay, I hope so everyone is clear about the course curriculum. Let me know if you have any questions.
Hi, can I know which kind of tools you cover in this course, and can I have the course curriculum?
Yeah, sure. I will share it with Ganesh. He will forward you. Okay.
Sure. In SQL, which SQL do you teach in the class? MySQL or which one? MongoDB or which one?
So as we are discussing about Azure, right? So we will discuss about SQL, Azure SQL. Okay.
Oh, okay. And ETL tools?
So ETL, I mean, I will cover data warehousing concepts. Okay. So ETL tool, it is like Azure Data Factory for Azure.
Oh, okay. And in Python, which topics do you cover? I mean, just Python scripting or coding. What kind of topics you cover in the Python?
So for Python, I would be covering about the basic data structures like list, tuples.
Doesn't help, right? So do you cover like Python scripts to access different kinds of data like JSON, XML, those kind of data? I mean, those kind of scripts do you cover in the course?
So whatever it is required for big data, so for the data engineering, I would be covering like Pandas, PySpark.
Oh, you cover PySpark.
Yeah,
Okay.
Pandas and PySpark I will cover. And for data engineering, we should have a basic understanding of some data structures like a list and sets, tuples. Okay, 4 types of data structures are there. So you need to have basic understanding on that. So
Yeah.
these things I will cover as part of Python.
Okay. So Python libraries you cover is Pandas and PySpark, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Ajit. I'm having two questions basically regarding to this all.
Yeah.
First of all, like thanks for walking us through everything, whatever you have told. First question is like how would we prepare our test like test cloud architecture, whatever, right? This will be onto our personal account, or this will be account provided by you, how would that thing work basically?
So you have to create. You can create a trial account, so which
Okay.
will be valid for 30 days. So it
Mhm.
will work for one credit card. Okay? So if you use one credit card, it will be for that credit card and mail ID. So you will get 30 days of access. So once it is expired, you have to select pay as you go subscription, right?
Mhm.
So if you create pay as you go subscription, you will be charged based on the usage that you use.
Okay. And will this trial period like cover each and every product, or
Yes,
is there like any kind of restriction? Okay,
there
everything.
is no
Okay.
restriction.
All right, sure.
Yeah, but it
And
will have a
when
specific amount. Okay, so
yeah,
something
that's fine.
200.
That's not a problem. Yeah, for learning, I think yeah, I can definitely put some weightage on my credit card if it will need be. Not a problem. Second thing is, I was like just looking to ask, when you will be basically building the solutions, and when we will be discussing like some kind of data lake sizes or data lake capacity planning, right? So would you also like give us some kind of case studies from the solution architecture perspective, that how an ideal basically data lake can be possibly designed in a what possible scenario, like how to keep how to like use a mix of tiers basically into a data lake on the basis of a use case. So will you cover something like that as well?
Mm, I think so. You are asking about the
Solution architecture for
architecture
data
solution,
lakes,
right?
or
Yeah.
yeah,
So how
something
to
like that.
design the architecture data lake solution, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I can try with some use cases, but I'm not sure. But about so it will be covered in the um, some of the certifications like the architectural. There is a certification in Azure for architectural solution.
Yeah.
Azure Architect, okay. So high level, I can support you, but
Mhm.
in depth, I cannot provide you that thing. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. No worries. Yeah. Okay, thank you. That was pretty much it. Yeah, thank you.
So any other questions, Murli?
For deployment purpose, which the Azure service you will be covering? So,
Sorry.
yeah, for deployment,
Hmm.
which Azure service or tool you will be covering?
So for deployment, there is Azure DevOps. So Azure DevOps, I can give the basics. Means I can go through that tool. Okay. But
Okay,
so this is not mainly focused on deployment, DevOps. Okay. So this is mostly
okay,
focused on data engineering.
okay.
But I can give you the basic understanding of what will happen. What does the we have a data Azure
Means,
DevOps tool, okay,
yeah.
where we
I
can
mean,
create sprints, okay, and we
yeah.
can
For
deploy Azure pipelines also.
okay, I mean,
I can,
for automation, right? Automation for workflow management, right?
sorry, for
Yeah, for
automation.
automation, yeah,
Hmm.
job automation like that. Yeah, I'm asking. Yeah.
So
In
what kind of automation
actually,
that you are speaking about?
uh, actually in AWS,
Uh,
uh, uh, for automating the job, the service
hmm.
is called and the glue, right? Glue,
Okay. Okay.
yeah. The
So you
same
are
kind of
speaking about the
feature service.
pipelines, right? Pipelines.
Yes, data pipeline. Yeah, correct.
Yes, data pipelines you will get, and so it will be covered in Azure Data Factory. So that is a tool where we create a data pipeline. Okay? So where each and every job, so we will create there. Okay?
Okay, in Azure Databricks, correct.
Yeah, so it is Azure Data Factory. At Databricks, it is a processing solution.
Okay, name is the so data pack, right?
Data Factory,
Or data factory. Okay.
Azure
Okay,
Data
ADF.
Factory, ADF.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
Like just one more follow-up question, I think, related to ADF and all of the access services. Like, would you also cover some kind of Azure key vault and all those kind
Yes,
of
yes,
security services as
sure,
well?
sure. Azure keywords I
Okay.
will cover. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
So means, for example, let's say in the project, right? So what we use for key vault, it is used for storing keys and secrets, right? So those things, basic information, how to access key secrets and keys from key vault, all those things I will be covering.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, hi, I had one question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think most of the topics, whatever I'm hearing, you said you're covering the basic, you'll show the basic, and for everything you're telling, you'll discuss the basic on it. So now I'm kind of confused. So would that suffice getting into the data engineer market? Because if you just say basic, I don't think that would help us in any way, right? If there is something that is kind of like end to end deployed, like real time projects or something like that, is that something that you will go through in the training, or it's just basic training?
So hello, someone is speaking, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
this is
Yeah.
Kishore. So
Yeah.
did you hear what I said or no?
Yeah. So I have understood your point. Okay. So I was saying
Okay.
that so data factory and data bricks, it will be covered end to end. Okay. So because so data engineers, they use these tools most regularly. Okay. They are of more use. So when we work on any project, okay. So it has capabilities which will so almost which is required for implementing the projects. Okay. So remaining tools, right? You should have some basic understanding. That's just an understanding to implement the data projects. Okay. So that's why I was saying that remaining things, whatever key vault, data lake, you don't have to understand each and everything about data lake. Okay. So it is just a file system. It is the service where you can store the files. Okay. You don't have to understand everything about it.
Okay. So in terms
For
of
example, let's
data,
say Python, right? So if you go in depth,
yeah.
right, Python, it will take 1 year to understand all those concepts. Okay. So that's why I said, right? So whatever it is required for starting a data engineering journey, so that much I will cover for Python, PySpark, everything. PySpark also, right? If we start PySpark, it will take only PySpark. It will take at least 2 or 3 months. Okay, to get a good grip on the PySpark.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why I said that ADF and data bricks, right? So if you're so this course is mainly focused on Azure Data Engineering. It means like data engineering skill sets are covered and Azure skill sets are covered. Okay.
So is that sufficient for to enter the market?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
you need
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So based on my experience, right? So SQL is needed, Python, PySpark. So these are very much needed for a data engineer. Okay. So if you this is common for all clouds. Okay, AWS or Google Cloud or Azure Cloud, anything. These skill sets are mainly required. SQL is mother. Okay. Python you require and PySpark you require. Okay, these three skill sets you have to understand. Okay. And for start Azure journey, you should have a good grip on Databricks and Data Factory. Okay.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thanks.
So team, any other questions? Lakshmi, Kishore, Ajit, Murli.
One quick question. How long does the course last? I mean, duration.
So it will take at least 1.5 months.
Okay, got it. I mean, each day, how many hours?
1 hour.
1 hour.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So any other questions from anyone? Tarun, do you want to add anything here?
No, Ganesh, I think this is pretty much good.
Okay.
I hope everyone understood. Okay, Ganesh, like, is this the end of the session or is there anything else?
Nothing as of now. So the demo, as per like the thing, the demos got over. Or if you have
Okay,
any questions, you can ask him. Or
okay,
if we can want to like show anything also, like he'll be showing Azure account or Azure dashboard if you want to see.
okay. Um, okay, let's just like if the trainer is okay with showing anything else for another 10 minutes, that would be great.
You mean to say like
Yeah, like introduction
dashboard?
about Azure website or portal.
Okay. Yes, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, let me share my screen. So in order to access to Azure portal, you have to go for portal.azure.com. Okay, so in the this is a portal that you have. So the main parent group is subscriptions. Okay, so whenever you can see, right, so this is the pay as you go subscription which has created. Okay, so whatever services that I will be using under the subscription, it will be charged under the subscription. Okay, as you can see, pay as you go. You click, so you can see um, all the resource groups. Okay, so this is the hierarchy that you have to follow. Okay, uh, in the, Azure. Okay, first is the subscription, and second is resource group, and third is resources. Okay, so each subscription has some resource groups. Okay, and each resource group has some resources. Okay, so let's say in the real time, right? So so if you have any, if the company is having some subscription, so we will create for process. Okay, so for processing we will create from process resource group. Another is network. Okay, network resource group. Okay, and we will create some storage resource group. Okay, so these kind of all the resources are combined. Okay, based on the job that they do, they will, it is categorized. Okay, and it will be placed in some resource group. Okay, so in the process groups we will have some data breaks uh, type of resources. Okay, so networking, whatever network virtual networks that you create. Okay, so these are all under the network resource group, under storage resource groups. These are all things to, it will come under those respective resource groups. Okay, so if you see resource groups in the subscription, you can see this option, right? Resource groups. Here you can create the resource groups. That right now I have one resource group. Okay, RG training. So this training groups has these resources. Okay. So in each and every resource group, you can see this is a storage account resource group, and this is data factory, and this is SQL server. Okay. So these are all the things that you have to understand. And if you see here on the Azure dash, you can see all the resources. These are all the options and services which are available in Azure. So you can see resource groups, function app, SQL databases, Cosmos DB, virtual machines, load balances, storage accounts, virtual network, Azure Active Directory, Monitor Advisor. These are all the services that it provides. Okay. So if you see here, okay, so you can see all those recent resources that you are using. Okay. So here you can see subscriptions that you have, and if you select on more services, okay, so you can see here, right? So every resource is categorized. Okay. So you can see compute. If you click on compute, you can see all the resources which are doing the computation of data. Okay. So here, if you click on networking, you can see all the virtual networks, load balances. So resources which provides the networking uh, and storage, where you can store the data. And these are all the web applications. These are all the mobile applications. The containers, databases, as you can see number of databases, types of databases. If you, the most important thing is analytics. In analytics, you can see Azure Databricks, data factories, okay, DevOps, machine learning, Internet of Things, all these things you can see here. So all these things it will provide. Okay. So this is a basic uh, basic options that we have. Okay. So once we start this, start the course, we will understand about each and every component in detail. Okay.
And sorry to interrupt. I came to know that something possibly is changing after Feb 6 on the curriculum part, basically.
Curriculum for
Uh,
which one? Which certification?
Curriculum for Azure Data Engineer Certification.
Yeah, it keeps on changing. I think in 2 or 3 months it will keep on changing. Okay. So
Okay, and okay, and will this training like prepare us for the whole for the certification exam as well, or this will be more on the practical side of that?
no, this is on morely on practical side, not on theory side. So
Okay,
so each and every tool. So whenever starting it, I will give the basic introduction. Means what are the main terminologies on the specific tool. For example, we start data factory. We should understand what is pipeline data sets. So the basic introduction I will give for each and every thing. Um, so the theory part will be covered there. Okay. So all the major concepts. After we complete those sessions, right, theoretical sessions, we will we will concentrate more on the practical sessions. We will work on some use cases.
okay, and would we be also basically able to crack the exam as well, or we will like
Yes, sir.
need to
It is
prepare
easy to crack.
separately for that? Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
you don't have to prepare separately for that. So all the concepts will be covered.
okay,
So at least
thank
you
you.
have to prepare for it. You have to spend some time, but you will understand whatever that you are doing. Okay. So when you are attempting for DP to know.
Yeah, got it. Thank you, thank you.
Hey Ganesh, I think this is it for today.
Yeah.
Uh, let's just end the session, and if anyone has any queries, please make sure to clarify right now, or just DM me so that I could ask the Ganesh or the trainer itself.
Okay.
Okay, Ganesh, let's end the session.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, guys.
Thank you,
Thank
Muddasir.
you.
Thanks for
Thank you
your time.
Thank you,
guys.
Muddasir.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Okay.